to Whose Turn Is It Anyway, a podcast all about our gaming group and, of course, the board games we play. I'm Adrian, your current first player, and as always, I'm surrounded by our other wonderful players. I have, on my left, Davey.
Can't believe you call me wonderful. Yeah, that's me.
Becky.
Hi.
And JP.
Wonderful.
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 Oh, last time I give you guys any compliments. And in today's episode, we will be talking all about the real-life skills you can gain from playing board games and how they translate into the real world.
Awesome.
Before we get started, though, how is everyone doing?
I'm really excited because I beat my husband at Ark Nova the other day.
Way! That is an
Nice.
amazing achievement.
I feel very excited about it.
Yeah, did you rub it in his face?
I didn't need to.
Didn't need to,
No,
but did
no,
he cry?
he's a very good loser. He just doesn't get a lot of practice at it, unfortunately, does he?
That's true.
But no, he said, "Oh, you played really well." And I thought, yeah, I
good.
was pleased with it.
Yeah,
He is a
nice.
gracious loser.
He is.
And then
Yeah.
cried in the bathtub for an hour and a half
Maybe.
after.
He's not a good winner.
But I didn't see.
No.
I didn't see any of
No.
that, so it was all right.
Unlike me. Carry on.
Takes one to know one,
Have
JP, yeah?
I don't think I've won any other games recently, but that one is enough to carry me through at
So
least
what
a
about
couple of
winning though,
months.
Becky?
Yeah,
It's about the journey.
it's nice if you get a trophy.
Well, it's just one of the things that I've learned.
Is it?
Yeah. Leading on.
And that brings us nicely into the actual main segment, doesn't it?
It does.
It's a shame we've got a whole segment in between today. It's now time to talk about you and me and all the good things and the bad things that have been as we talk about Hex. So, what's everyone played recently? What's everyone been up to? Anything exciting?
Lots of Clank Catacombs at our house.
Yeah?
Lots and lots. Yeah, Curly's brother's staying with us for a little while and he is a real big fan of that. So we've been playing huge amounts of Clank Catacombs.
How's it gone? Has it progressed well after multiple plays?
Yeah, it's still just as good every time, I think, because you've got that kind of moving tile selection, so it's always a different kind of map.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we play it with new people most times, so they do the whole thing that everyone does when they very first play Clank, which is like, oh, well, this is fine, I've got loads of health, oh, I'm dead, damn it.
I get greedy.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm dead.
And even though you tell people it really ramps up in a minute, as soon as one person's out, it's
Yeah.
game over, really. And they just, I'm just going to go,
One step too far.
Yeah, Tambo really enjoyed it. He really enjoyed it. That was really cool.
Yeah, he
So,
chatted about
It
it last
definitely
night.
tackles what the only criticism of the Clank before, in that if you played a lot of it, which you probably will because it's a good game, you kind of get used to the map, and there's
Yeah.
like certain cards will come out and you think, well, I need this for this because of this map, and I need to go this way, and
Because of the
it
crystal
did have an
caverns.
alternative board the other side, but I do really like the tile design. It's nice.
Yeah, I think that's why they sold a lot of the map packs for original Clank.
Yeah, that
because of
makes
that
sense.
reason. So
Yeah,
it's
that
like,
makes
there's
sense.
one in an ape jungle, there's one, it's a dwarven mine or a spider cavern or whatever. So you kind of then bought more and more maps, but Catacombs you don't need to. It's different.
And it's great because you think, oh yeah, right, 1, 2, yeah, 3 turns and I'm out. And then you get that card that comes out that's sudden movement. And as soon as it comes out, everybody on a lone tile has to turn their tile around. And you're
Yeah.
like, damn it. there
changes
goes,
everything.
Yep, there goes my pathway out. I'm going to die now. But yeah, it's really good. I really enjoyed that.
I'll lead off with that, and I've been playing Clank Legacy.
It's all about the Clank.
Yeah, I've been clanking about. And Dune, which is also another direwolf thing, but
Yeah.
we've talked about enough about Dune.
We played that a lot in our house as well.
Yeah, that's all I've played lately is all direwolf games. So
Might be worth mentioning Dune, just very briefly,
Yeah.
with your experience of opening a certain copy of Dune.
yes, I will put this up on the socials as well. So I opened up the Rumageddon, or AKA the Rumrush scandal. But yeah, and it seemed all was actually okay. Some of the cards were a little bit inflated, but they weren't too bad. They'll still fit into a sleeve.
Okay.
And so I just got to sleeve it all. And one of the character mats is a bit scuffed, but they're quite thin. They were quite flimsy anyway. So I'm not. It's actually all good. I was. It was a bit of a smell, but
Contact high every time you open the box.
Yeah, my friends were like, "Oh, let's play Dune. We haven't played that in ages." I was like, "Yeah, about that." I was like, "I'll bring it," but I haven't opened it since the episode. And
I just think you changed one of the faction mats, the one that got damaged, to Captain Morgan.
yeah.
It should have done, and just played with Captain Morgan instead. Yeah.
Rather than water, it's little rum drinks that you, yeah.
So, yeah, the spice rum must flow.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's terrible.
That's good, though,
It's
isn't
good. I liked it.
it? Staying in, mate.
It was cracking.
No more.
Oh, rum puns. Anyway, just thought we'd mention that, Davey, before you get that in.
You were supposed to be talking about Clank Legacy.
Clank Legacy, yeah. So, yeah, we've been playing. We're up to run 7 or something or other. So it's only 10. So it's actually quite a short campaign. But afterwards, you get to play the game. But obviously, where you've kind of populated the board with all your stickers, everyone's board will be different when you play it. And I know there's an expansion piece as well, which I think adds to the campaign once you've completed it. Yeah, so that kind of tackles all boards being the same as well, because your legacy board's going to be different to everyone else's.
That's cool.
And then you can obviously play through it still with the vault cards, which you kind of draft as well. So yeah, it's got enough variation from the other Clanks to make it actually really, really good. So we thoroughly enjoyed that.
I've heard good things. Yeah,
Yeah,
it seems
highly
to go down well.
regarded.
Yeah.
Yeah. They know what they're doing with a deck building game, don't they?
They do.
Yeah.
They got that down to a T, haven't they?
Yeah.
They're just solid design. It's fun.
Yeah, and that's the core of it, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
You can lose at that game countless times and not care, especially Clank.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Nah.
just
So,
so fun, isn't it?
every time I play, if you go first, I think it's a curse. If you go first, you know all your cubes are being pulled out of that bag. So, yeah.
And you score a big fat 0.
Yeah.
So I really
No, I scored. I just didn't get my mug.
So I've been playing Clank in Space.
Oh my god!
No, I
it's
haven't.
like,
Could you imagine?
No, I don't have it. So just thought I'd throw it in. No, I've been playing, unsurprisingly, Too Many Bones.
oh no, you never played that before.
No, to be
have you?
fair, I haven't played it for a while. I'll talk about
Just
it. all
talk
the
about
time.
it,
Yeah. And I've decided. The reason why I played it is many episodes ago, I mentioned that a new gear lock was on the way called Riffle. Yeah.
Remembered.
You remembered, you see, in episode. Because I can't remember which
Edit
one.
that bit in.
Yeah.
With
yeah,
a different
episode
voice. Get
17.
Cheryl to suddenly say 17.
Whatever it was. And so I thought, I've got to give Riffle a spin, and Rob and me have started a little mini Age of Tyranny campaign with it, which is essentially like a 7 game where you string them together and you can kind of take on tyrants, and you can take their tyrant dice as loot when you beat them, and it kind of progresses a little bit like that. So I thought we'd give that a go. And I am absolutely loving and digging Riffle. Riffle is amazing. So for those that don't know what the hell I'm talking about, I'm not going to go into Too Many Bones.
I was going to say Too Many Bones.
I'm not going to cover that because that's episode 4. So just listen to that and you're golden. But Riffle specifically is a gear lock that comes with a 52 card deck. And instead of hearts, spades, and clubs and diamonds, you have bones, vitality, gears, and eyeballs called vision. So you have those 4 suits, and you kind of build the gear lock skills up in a certain skill tree where you can play a card combo at the start of your turn, and it's your typical poker kind of style hand. So you can build or play, 2 of the same number straights, flushes, royal flushes, and all of that kind of stuff, and they'll have different effects on the game. And he's just a really good, versatile character, because you can use vitality to heal yourself or others. You can use like gears to damage adjacent opponents, and you can use bones to collect bones for your backup plans. And then you can use the vision cards to kind of help seed more cards into your draw deck. So your 52 card deck is kind of split into 2. You've got an active deck that sits on your mat, and you've got the rest of them kind of off out the way, and you can only draw from the one on your mat. But you've got mechanics that you can kind of swap cards from this deck and that deck, and mess around with the discard pile and get the right cards that you're after back into your hand. So you can really manipulate the card combos that you play. But it's just so much fun. I thought it might be too much, but it's not. It really plays well kind of into the game, and it's just a load of fun. I'm loving it.
fun.
Is there a lot of randomness? Because it sounds like a bit of a gambit.
Hey!
I'm afraid that went over my head. Not gonna lie.
He's an X-Men person who throws cards at people. Called Gambit. Just
You'll sigh afterwards, made that, I think.
Yeah. He's such a joker. Yeah. Anyway, so that's kind of Riffle. It's cool.
And how's the campaign progressing then?
We've done one.
Oh, okay.
We've gone up against a tyrant I've not fought before called Lock Gear.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Who's a gear
Rather than
lock.
a gear lock. He's
But it's
bad
been
one.
experimented on.
Oh yeah.
And weirdly, he kind of travels with you on your journey. It's very strange, and you have to appease him. And you have to do certain things all throughout the campaign to appease him. And if you appease him, it makes the boss fight easier. And you end up fighting him in the end. He's a bit of a git, like all tyrants are in Too Many Bones. But yeah, it was quite fun. Very different.
Nice.
Played a lot differently. So yeah, because I've got pretty much all the tyrants apart from Unbreakable.
Ever made ever.
Well, they're coming. Then I've just done like a random 7, and Lock Gear was the first one up. So it's quite nice to play some new stuff. So yeah, enjoying it.
Here's a question. Do you think you've bought individual expansions more times, like individual purchases, than you've played?
No,
No.
because that's 73rd play.
Was that your 73rd
Yeah.
play?
Of Bones, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
no.
you play it solo a lot though, don't you?
I have done, yeah.
You have done.
73rd
That's
play.
my
That's,
73rd
that's
play.
impressive, that.
Yeah, it's
That's
impressive.
impressive.
Trying to get the value down
Yeah,
per
yeah.
play.
I can understand that. So it's now only it's £100 a play.
It's now only a £10 a play.
Yeah.
No, it's 73rd play. Trying to get to 100.
Nice.
Not any game that's been played.
Before...
You
Yeah,
die.
send.
Next week?
It's going to be like Fry in Futurama when he has his 100th
Oh,
cup
the
of
coffee,
coffee.
yeah.
Yeah. Suddenly JP's going to ascend out of the building and fly up into the sky.
Yeah. He's played his 100th game. Look at him.
Turns into a gear lock and runs down the road.
Anyway, yeah, so that's it's been a lot of fun. And very quickly, just want to mention, if you want to see how Riffle plays, I've played on Gaming Rules, and we've gone through the Automaton of Shale kind of run through, which is the pop-up book thing. So check it out; it's good fun. You know, I thought I'd just mention it just to get the drinking game going,
Yeah.
if nothing else.
It's like, what drinking game? But the drinking game where
Yeah.
you mentioned to me.
Too many bones.
How about you, Adrian? What have you been up to?
I think I would be a loss if I didn't mention the fact that I've played War Room recently, having mentioned it on several episodes before. So for those who don't know, I have mentioned it before. Not as many times as JP has mentioned Too Many Bones, but I have mentioned it a few times. And that is, it's essentially the spiritual successor for Axis and Allies. So World War II, big map, pushing units around a board with your unit pusher, if you've got one.
Definite unit pushers.
And yeah, just fighting through the World War II sort of scenarios. So we played, I've played North Africa campaign, and also then played on Gaming Rules, the live as a live stream. I played the War in Europe, and it's a really good game, and you can see lots of Axis and Allies DNA in it, but it twists it enough that I was completely thrown, and all the tactics I used in Axis and Allies didn't really work in War Room. So, because normally in Axis and Allies you just throw units into a war, like your Russia sort of thing, just constantly throwing people into it until one side's gone. You just can't do that in the War Room because you build up too much stress, which makes producing units and things like that much harder. So, great game, but yeah, couldn't quite get my head around it in the first couple of playthroughs, so intrigued to play more of it. But yeah, it's really good. If you want to see the playthrough, it's on the Gaming Rules YouTube channel.
Definitely.
I've never kind of been drawn to games with a big map like war.
It's
games.
huge.
It's
Yeah.
It's
I
absolutely
played Risk.
massive.
That's the only kind of that's got a big map, right? But
Yeah.
I don't. I
the
think
most basic one. It's like the
Yeah, I
the
think
starter, the gateway war game.
the gateway
My
war
first
game.
war
much.
game.
Yeah,
I think the
my
thing
first
that
war game.
puts me off is it's
Such-
already been done. Like a war has happened, so how do you play it and not do the thing that already happened? Or do you have to do the thing that already happened, like this particular battle, whoever won, or whatever? Or is it as structured as that? Or
In
is
this
it?
particular instance, so Axis and Allies and War Room gives you quite a blank slate to kind of do what you want. You have a pre-set up position for sort of units and who owns what countries and stuff like that. But certainly from Axis, I haven't played enough War Room to sort of say definitively, but Axis and Allies, each nation has about 2 or 3 opening moves, and what your opening move will depend upon quite often the previous countries and what they've done.
Okay.
So it can differ quite substantially, especially from what happened in real life. Obviously there's a lot of politics and sort of economic stuff that you don't bring into the War Room, as it's just essentially fighting armies
Yeah.
rather than all of that other stuff which affected World War II, especially much more than sort of the actual battles did sometimes.
So the Nazis could win, for example, if you're playing the war room.
Definitely. Cool.
Yeah, it's not historically accurate.
Yeah,
it's more just historically kind of inspired.
Yeah, and that's kind of the thing that's put me off. It almost feels like it's kind of already written, like the ending is already determined. Maybe.
No, I think it's just a theme that they kind of like picked from, isn't it?
Yeah, and it gives you, as I say, there is some, because you've got a set up to where everyone's at and who's allied with who and stuff like that. It does give you a basis for it. And quite often some of your opening moves can be quite similar to the opening moves that actually happened in World War II. But doesn't have to be, and quite often within a couple of rounds, the board looks nothing like any point of World War II. So. Now we are on to our main turn, where we are going to talk about real life skills that we've gained from board gaming, or that we think people can gain from board gaming. It's fair to say that we've all been in the hobby a little while, and we've probably all picked up skills from board games. So we thought we'd talk about that. Maybe you've got sort of similar experiences, or maybe on the episode you can comment and let us know about the skills that you've learned.
Definitely.
Let's start with Becky.
So my biggest one, I think, is dealing with failure. Not just because I am a big old failure at games.
You were knocked over.
I won knocked over, yeah, but that's only so prescient in my mind because it's so rare. And normally, I think I don't fail at much in life because I don't tend to do stuff if I don't think I'm going to be any good at it. So it's really good practice for me, I think, dealing with putting a lot of effort into something and spending a lot of time doing something, but actually not getting the most desired outcome. Because it isn't all about winning, you're absolutely right. But it'd be nice sometimes.
It'd be nice to get a few in.
Yeah, but I think actually you can still it teaches you that you can still have a really, really great evening with friends. You don't have to win. Which is something I think if you'd have asked me 5 years ago, would you bother playing a game if you didn't think you could win? I think I'd have said a big fat no. Because what would be the point? What would be the point? I'm not saying you have to win, but you have to think that you can. And I think that's important. I have to think that it is in the absolute vaguest realms of possibility that I could win. Like, if I know I 100% will not win under any circumstances, then I think nobody would play, would they? But, I mean, it's pretty much high up there, especially if Curly's playing. I'm not going to win. And I think that's a good lesson to learn, that you can still have a really good time and you can actually not make any mistakes and still have a non-win situation. You know, it does teach you that sometimes things just don't go your way, and you just have to get over it.
It's life, though, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think maybe small children would have difficcy with that because they're like, well, I did everything right, and it's still...
Because you rub it in their face that you won.
Yeah, you suck. That's why my son doesn't play games with me. I'm not that bad. But that's true, though. Like, you know, anything in life, and you compare that to board games, it's a bit hard to compare life and board games, but the principle's kind of similar, right? It's the same sort of thing as... You know, things aren't always going to go your way, and it's just how you kind of deal with that.
I think it's made me more likely to attempt something, even if I don't think the outcome is going to be 100% favourable, which I think is a good thing to be able to do as an adult.
The mindset.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll learn that at some point. I'm still very much like, I must be perfect at this very quickly, or I'm going to not do it.
Yeah, so. and I think I definitely feel like that. That is my kind of base opinion on something. But I think playing board games and failing so often, not failing though, but not winning, and it is failing, let's be honest, failing so often has kind of made me realise you can still have a nice time and it's still fun, and maybe you might get better eventually one day, or not, but you're still going to have a nice time and it's okay. You don't have to be...
I wouldn't say it's a failure, because you still enjoyed it.
It's
not a failure of an
so
evening.
it's trying to remember that in a life situation where you think, well, actually, I might not win at this or whatever, but as long as it's a either fun experience or someone's benefiting somewhere or whatever.
Am I or anyone else dead? No. So it's all good.
Yeah, that's quite a low. That's quite a low threshold. Yeah, it's a low threshold.
It's my threshold.
Not very good. Not very good in my job. Did they die? Oh, it's fine then. I mean, it is a good threshold. It's a good aspiration.
I didn't really think about that. Yeah.
If someone was like, well, I need to learn this skill now from board games, what board games would you suggest they go and play to build up that mentality?
Ark Nova.
Ark Nova.
Yeah.
Wonder why.
Well, you can think, well, do you know what? I've got a really good zoo going, the cards are all right. Oh, what, -50? This is rubbish. And you can feel really deflated with that. But actually, your zoo might be really good. You know, it might have flowed nicely, but someone just got loads of amazing, I don't know, sponsor cards or whatever. Someone's luck / choices may have been better than yours, but yours was still good.
Yeah.
And then you get this punishing minus whatever. So I think that's a really good game to, if you can manage to get your head around that hideous scoring, that can teach you, do you know what, it was still good, but yeah, this is how this game works better, and sometimes you've got to just pick the other things.
I think it's like games where they're like engine building when you've done a thing.
Yeah.
You've produced something
Yeah.
and you're very proud of it. And yeah, you can get to the end of it and go, I did that.
Yeah.
Oh, did I win? No. Oh, okay. But I don't care because I built something really cool.
I
Yeah.
built something different to the last time I played it,
Yeah.
or whatever. Tried a different route, and it semi-worked out.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I guess
Massive combo.
Terraforming Mars is a bit
Love
like
it.
that, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can spend ages making your engine, and then someone still comes along and just absolutely whoops you with score.
Yeah.
But you think, actually, but this worked really nicely, and it's okay.
Yeah, well, I put up the most forests on Mars. What
Yeah,
does it matter if
look
I
at
didn't
me.
win?
I'm so ecologically minded.
The one that sprung to mind for me when you were talking there was Spirit Island.
Yeah,
Because
that's definitely one.
Spirit Island is punishing, but you're in it together. I
Yeah.
think that is similar for a lot of co-ops, but
Yeah.
you're in it together, right? So you know you're getting punished. The board swells with the colonists on the board, and you've got to keep that positive mindset in order to work effectively. And if you don't, and you start sort of getting in your head a little bit, quite often it's easy to miss moves. And at the end of it, whether I've won or not, I always feel like I've had a good time at Spirit Island, and I want to try a different spirit or try some extra different, like some of the nations or something like that. Go on then, JP.
I'm going to go with dealing with confrontation.
Are you?
I am right now.
Really?
Going to
Is
deal
that what
with
you think
it
we're doing
now.
right now,
Yeah,
is it?
Absolutely.
What do you say about me?
So this isn't true for every board game. Just, you know, if anyone's listening to this thinking, oh my God, confrontation, I don't want to be confronted. But there are certain board games that will encourage confrontation and put you in those situations. And for me, I'm not someone that relishes confrontation. I don't generally enjoy it or like it. It makes me feel quite uncomfortable in general life. Like, you know, where some people thrive off it. They love it, don't they? Looking at someone around the table.
I don't throw off of it.
Just enjoy it.
I don't enjoy it either.
No,
I just see it as essential sometimes.
Yeah, it's like it kind of puts me into a mode where I can feel the adrenaline pumping round.
I'm right there with you.
And the heart's
right
going
there with you.
faster,
Yep.
and then, you know, don't like it. I just don't feel like I'm in control.
It's one of nature's harmonisers, mate.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
But there are times that I've played games, mainly semi-cooperative games, where you are put into these like sandbox environment and confrontation is rife. And that's all you care about for the next 3 or 4 hours is you're having to deal with it. And in a way, I found it very helpful to be in those situations, to take it outside of the game, so that if confrontation happens, I can kind of handle it a bit better rather than going, oh my God, I don't like this. And I think, well, I played against Davey, playing Battlestar Galactica. I can do anything. You know what I mean? I can take on the world and kind of stand up for myself a bit more in certain situations where people might just, you know, piss you off or whatever it might be.
It's practice, isn't it? It's getting that practice of that kind of feeling, that kind of adrenaline. Oh, this is happening. Everyone's and then being able to sort of put it down a bit and still go through.
Because there's nothing quite like it being called a Cylon 5 minutes in a game. And you think, I've got 3 hours of this. I'm going to have to deal with this. And
I rolled the dice with that one and I went for it.
And you're either going to throw the game by, you know, being baited, or you're going to play it cool. And it allows you to try certain strategies that are safe. I think that's where I'm going with it. It's safe, it's controlled, and at the end of the game, you've got no enemies. And it's all left in the game. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of like a safe way to practice those.
But I think there's always a time and place for it, isn't there? With confrontation, it's not something anyone enjoys, I don't think. But like, say in business sense, if someone's taking the mick in something, sometimes it's required.
Yes.
And it is. And I know I can be confrontational, but I'm not. I don't enjoy it, and I don't. It's
in the spirit of the game.
I enjoy it if the game's has it. I will do it, but I'm not it for no purpose. If that makes sense. It's definitely, and that's what I think you're kind of saying
And
is there is a purpose for it, and it's kind of taught
Exactly. I'm not saying, please don't be confrontational in a semi-cooperative game, because you just wouldn't be playing it in the style that you would want to play it. And I think it's good that you do play it like that for the reasons that I've said, because it's helped me.
I think we're really good as a group.
No.
I think we're really good as a group to not take things like out of the game. Mostly, if someone's had a confrontation with someone in a game because the game, necessitates it or whatever, they don't then hold the grudge. And maybe they will the next time they play that game, like with that same, but in a real life setting, like.
Don't know if I agree with that.
No,
but
maybe it's just me and my rose-tinted glasses.
We create a meta within our group. Where why do we always say that Tambo always backstabs people?
Because he always does.
Because he always does.
Yeah, but you'd be really surprised if he did it to you in real life, wouldn't you?
Oh yeah, 100%.
This is it. It's not like we're thinking.
But like he's going to pick me up and then he doesn't, and leaves me stranded on the motorway and goes
That's what I mean.
Literally stabs you in the back when you're walking along.
He's a chef. He's got knives. You've got to be careful. Yeah, so I think although we probably are quite a confrontational, bantery group, I don't think like we are all friends really. We're really looking forward to going to places, doing this events that we're doing in the future because we actually like each other. So it kind of allows you to be that kind of heartless git in the game because it's not going to be taken for reals.
It's like a virtual environment. You can be a bit of a knob and a dick and it's fine.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of leave it and go, that's fine. And deal with it. I think it's helped me playing board games in that sense, definitely. Because there have been times at work where I've had to be a bit more assertive and be a bit more stand my ground on things and, have the practice now.
Then I'll do it like hat on the Cylon.
What's your real world skill you've learnt from board games?
So, believe it or not, I'm going to go for the other end and go for, to start with, winning gracefully. So, I was a very bad winner, and I'm not known for that in this group.
No, you're not.
And I think it's one of those where winning and then being bad at winning can make people not want to play the game sometimes. Not that you're not that bad. We do take the mick, but you're never that bad. So it's just taught me how to not try and not rub it in people's faces or be like, you just be like, well, that's happened. We're moving on, and then you can that kind of transpires to real life in the sense of if you've done well at something, you don't need to gloat or brag about it, and because it can put other people down.
Yeah.
So it's one of those that you can transpire, and it helps with kind of, I won't say arrogance, but it is. It's a check, isn't it?
It's a bit. Yeah, you're bordering into arrogance, aren't you?
And that's not who I am or want to be like. And sometimes I think maybe because of that competitive nature of mine, that was spilling over, and it would seem that way. But I was just happy with the thing that I've done. But sometimes there's a time and a place for that. Like if it was with you guys and it was after a certain thing, it would probably be fine. But if I'm playing with a new group, then there's certain limits to it, isn't there?
Yeah.
And I think it's just learn how to kind of control that feeling.
I think
I go home and I go,
yeah. We all do that. We all do that. Just look at each other in the mirror.
Won. She goes, oh, well done. Yes.
I know. I tell Shell, she's like, I don't care. Like
this is the thing because I don't think if I ever win, I mean, like I say, it's so rare. Like one of Curly's brother says, "Oh yeah, you always gloat about it." And it's like, no, I really want to get that across. I'm not gloating. I'm really surprised, and I have to enjoy the fact that I've won. It's never at someone else's expense. I'm never running around going, "Oh, you suck. You're rubbish. You're crap." I'm just really pleased that I
That's
won.
That's not what we were told. We were told the other day. You go, yeah,
and that's absolutely not true. I'm just like, yes, I did it, woohoo! And it's never with a tang of I did it because you were crap.
Yeah,
it was. I managed to do the thing. The thing worked. Oh my god! But it's not you were sucking, you were rubbish, you were crap at this. It's just surprise. And I feel like I want to do a little victory lap because it's so rare. But that would come across really bad winning. So I understand that would not be good. But it wouldn't be because I was telling anyone else they were rubbish.
Exactly.
I'm just so pleasantly surprised for once ever I've won something.
And we wouldn't take it in that sense either. There is banter about it, but it's just it did help me because I think I was a very bad winner. and then if I do something, it would transpire in that sense as well over to my personal life.
Yeah, it's a good one to bring up, because it's kind of like in a real world settings, when someone's done something really amazing or good, they just want to post it on social media and go, "Oh, I'm amazing," and you're like, "Whatever, mate."
It just leaves
You know what I mean?
it leaves a
Like,
bad taste in your mouth, doesn't it? Like, oh,
like,
right,
you
get over
enjoy
it.
it, have fun,
Yeah.
great. You don't have to rub it in everywhere. Like,
Yeah.
you know, be happy with yourself. It's all good.
Yeah.
I think it's a bit of a tough one to ask. What game do you play to improve that skill? But I'll ask the question anyway.
What game do I play to improve that skill? A game I'm really good at. I
Say
think
ones
would
you can
be-
win.
Yeah.
Which is quite
Maybe
few, to
ones
be
that
fair.
win at the downfall of everyone else, like really bad downfall. So it would be easy to kind of
Food chain magnet.
haven't played that. So yeah, so I'll have
Yeah,
to
probably
take the
food
word
chain
for that.
magnet.
Never heard of it.
Yeah.
Don't know what you're on about.
But I don't think I gracefully won that one.
No, I don't think you were that bad. You weren't that bad.
No, it wasn't that bad. It's just when JP really hated it. I think that's when I picked up on it. But yeah, probably food chain magnet, because that one you can be vicious to people, I guess.
Yeah, it can be not.
And if you then rubbed it in their face, they would might
Sell
go
the game.
home crying. Yeah.
Sell a game. I was about to say that.
No, I tried to big you up on it and say, no, you could do loads better because I wanted to play the game again.
no, it didn't work.
Yeah, it didn't work. He went, nah, get rid of that. Didn't want to play it. I was anxious about playing it.
It was like, percolating in my mind for weeks, actually.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how to feel about it. I was like, it just kind of sits in this weird space of, I don't know if I enjoyed it or hated it. I couldn't work it out. It was like an enigma.
Yeah.
And I settled on, I just don't want to play this again. And
Yeah.
that was it. There we go.
It's like reading a book, isn't it? If it hasn't gripped you, don't make yourself spend more time reading it. You just got to cut your losses sometimes. don't you?
Yeah.
What about you, Adrian?
So my one was or is risk management and risk mitigation.
Mm-hmm.
This is a skill that I already felt like I had a bit of because of previous work roles and stuff like that. But it's something that you can learn more through board games, and it's something I've watched people learn through board games, especially sort of younger people who perhaps haven't had those life skills, and yet I can see them actually working out what the risk of something happening is, or if I make this next move, what happens. What is the risk reward? Is it a little risk with a lot of reward? Is it a lot of risk with a little reward? Which of those do I pick? All those kind of things. I think a lot of board games, especially like push your luck ones, are quite often filled with those choices.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of modern board games especially are designed to give you information like that, to tell you what's coming up next or what the odds are. The one that immediately came to mind when I was thinking about this was Quacks of Quedlinburg.
Yeah.
So
Great example.
for those who don't know or haven't played it before, you're pulling tokens out of a bag and they've got numbers on them. And they kind of fill up your pot, and you trying to get as many numbers round as you can. But there are cherry bombs in there, and if you get 7 value worth of more than 7 value worth of cherry bombs, your potion explodes. And you know how many is in there at any one time. You're allowed to count how many chips are in the bag. So you're not allowed to see what's in the bag, but you're allowed to count how many there is. And you can see in your pot how many white chips and what they total. So you can kind of go, I've got 5 chips left. One's a 3 white, one's a 2 white, and then there's 3 others. Right, okay, this is the risk. This is my reward for getting it. You can see how much victory points you're going to get for getting the right one or the wrong one. And I've watched people of all ages and people who are new to board games and not so new to board games sort of get that quite quickly. And I think I think board games especially are really good at teaching someone those skills and the probability and percentage. And if I pull the cherry bomb out now and I only go round 1, it's giving me no extra victory points because the next spot doesn't have any victory points on it. It's not worth it. Those kind of thought processes go on quite a lot, especially in like co-ops where you're flipping cards off a deck that you've already seen, like Pandemic or something like that, or what the next 5 cards in the deck are. All those kind of things really teach you basic risk management, and you can learn a lot more from there. And obviously in real world, you don't always know what the risks are, or you're kind of guessing a little bit more, but it certainly gives you that basis of that skill.
Yeah, it tunes you, I think, doesn't it, to
And
think in that way.
On the flip side, if you're like a risk taker, maybe you can channel your risk taking to your gaming life rather than doing
was
it
thinking-
in your real life.
Yeah, it did make me think of gambling, didn't it?
I mean, ultimately in poker or 21 or any of the sort of the big card games, okay, you might have a 5 shoe, so you might have 5 decks in a game of 21, but there's a reason why card counting exists, is because it helps you manage that risk.
Yeah.
It may not be liked by casinos, but it is it's a process that helps you understand the risk and the reward and what's potentially coming up for you. And yes, casinos don't like that. Don't do it in a casino.
No.
But in a board game, it's kind of par for the course, especially in a co-op board game where certain people's roles are about understanding that risk, and some people are just going to sort of understand what actions people need to do and get people's buy-in maybe for it. But it gives you those different roles inside a co-op game for sure. So round to everyone's second skill.
My second one is basically you can always customise and adapt things better to suit you. There's always some little mini modification, and that might be changing your seat. It might be adding that bit of glitter on that little piece, deciding, do you know what, I don't like how that's designed, I can do a better job than that, and making it yourself. You don't have to settle. You never have to settle. There is always some kind of improvement, and if you work hard enough, you can maybe find it.
Have the hours and put them in.
Yeah, or if your wallet is very full, you can go on Etsy and sort it out for yourself.
True.
But there's always you can always improve things, and customization is always there.
Don't settle, is what you're saying.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, that could be designing better pieces. It could be if someone in your party is colourblind and the designers haven't thought about that, you can manage that and make it more inclusive. You can always improve something,
So how do you take that into the real world then?
Well,
from a board game,
don't settle, and don't just assume that because something's always been done this way. No, I'm going to change that form. I'm gonna just manipulate that slightly or walk a different direction.
You're quite good with that design aspect of it because you like using the 3D printer and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Don't you?
But I think it's because even as a child, kind of, although I've got siblings, I kind of grew up as an only child because they're much older than I am. I was always making something. I was never prepared to just accept the thing. I had to customise it in some way. That might have been when I was a very small child, just writing my name on it. But I have to improve it. I can't just let it be. And if something's a bit broken, no, I can't have it. I've got to fix it or improve it or whatever. And I think that's a good kind of maybe it's a good aspiration. Maybe it can sometimes get in the way. Like you just think, just leave it. That's fine, isn't it?
Yeah.
I can't leave it. It's not just fine.
So you make it your own though, so
yeah,
I do understand it.
Yeah.
And it's about looking for those opportunities, as you say, because if you don't look for them, you won't find them.
That's
so
it.
It's about keeping your mind open, right, to seeing those opportunities out there where there is improvement. As you say, for some people, they'll see an opportunity and think that's not a big enough opportunity for me to put the effort in to change it. Whether they might see another opportunity and then think there's enough reward for me changing it, and therefore I'll go and put glitter on it, as you've said, or whatever it is that you end up.
Yeah, I think from like
Jazzle.
Board jazzle.
Board jazzle.
From a real life perspective, though, I think like if say in the workplace, so my job now is about finding improvements that can be made sort of for groups of staff. Even tiny little improvements, 5 tiny little improvements might still be a 5% improvement overall. So those very small little things that people have just gotten used to just dealing with and just, it's a bit annoying, it's a bit clunky, it's a bit whatever, you can kind of decide, no, I'm going to find a workaround for that. And I think that's a useful thing to be able to do.
Yeah, I like that. So it's not all about making things prettier, but it's about efficiency as well.
Yeah, for example, the Terraforming Mars Ares expedition, it's got like a little mat that you put your pieces on, and it's really, really easy to move those pieces and knock them. And I was like, they could have designed that so much better. And all right, the 3D thing I printed and made doesn't fit quite right, so I should have really carried on designing it, but it works better than the mat originally. Yeah. So you now put the pieces in little squares.
Yeah. And
all right, it does look nicer, but the whole point was, this is a really annoying thing, and instead of getting continually annoyed by it every time I play, I'm just going to do a thing that fixes it. Yeah.
That's cool. I like that.
I think as well, a lot of board game companies are good at doing that as well. Quite often, sometimes they'll just reprint, and it's the same reprint every single time. The rulebook hasn't changed, none of the cards have changed. But some certain publishers and that are actually pretty good at making sure that they review the wording in their rulebook each time, or the cards, or does this actually need a dual layer player board or something like that? And so you can actually see not just us as gamers doing it, because we, as you say, 3D printing and sort of all that kind of stuff, and even just buying stuff off Etsy that you think, I need that different. It's not just us, the publishers quite often are looking at where they can make improvements without cutting too much into their margin and what really improves the game. So I think it's something you can actually see through a lot of the industry.
Yeah, because I guess in the design process, they know some things aren't perfect. It's constantly evolving world, and yeah, you've got to evolve with it.
That's why you got to like say kudos to people like Ian O'Toole, who many people just think he sort of puts a splash of colour on certain board games, but he actually looks at UX design, not just the artwork. He looks at the experience. Yeah. So he looks at your player boards, he looks at the iconography and how everything's laid out, and thinks about it from a user experience perspective. So when publishers engage people like that, you always think, yeah, because it's
you know it's going to be a good
it's been
a good
thought
product.
about. It's not just I'll just slap it on.
But yeah, I agree. I still think a lot of people will look to improve a board game, whether it's a publisher or a gamer, when they love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's just nice to do, isn't it? It's nice
It
to
is.
make your copy yours.
Yeah.
For sure.
Cool.
Spilled rum on it, and then it's definitely yours.
It's Davey's tips on how to get games.
Yeah.
Just enough so it smells,
Yeah.
but not so much that it
Like
ruins the
ruin
board game.
There's an art form to it. For
Yeah, exactly.
Sure. Yeah. Shall I go?
I think it's you to you again.
So I'm gonna pick negotiation. So
What are you picking?
negotiation.
Why?
Because shut it. This sounds good at it. No, for me, again, like real world skills. You know, with the job I do, I do project management of like putting in IT systems. I know everyone's fallen asleep, boring. But you know, I'm having to kind of be in situations where I have to negotiate with people all the time, whether it's negotiating their time to work on something or negotiating prices with suppliers, whatever it might be. Negotiation is a great skill, I think, to have, to understand kind of both sides of the party, what everyone needs to kind of facilitate a means to an end. And board gaming helps facilitate that no end. There's so many examples. The one that springs to my mind, and I call it the argument simulator, which is a game called New Angeles. And New Angeles is a game set in the Android universe, so the Netrunner universe, and it's essentially you all play as the corporations having to sort of work together, but you're negotiating between you to get what you need, and it really teaches you those skills. Like if you can't negotiate, you're gonna not do well at that game, and I think it's just a great example. We don't play it enough, to be fair, but it's a great example to really kind of test you in that sandbox. Like I said earlier about confrontation. But what does Davey want? What is he after? And what can I give him that means I can get that thing that I really need to help me or help this thing that I'm working on. And yeah,
Negotiation's a politer way of saying manipulation, isn't it?
well, manipulation is kind of getting someone to do something for you without any return, I would say.
Yeah.
That's the perfect negotiation, isn't it?
Well, yeah, on one side, but negotiation should be a thing that both parties are
Everyone
happy
should
with.
feel they're winning.
Yeah, like
absolutely.
I'm winning because I'm getting X, and you're winning because you're getting Y. But there's a line for manipulating, but no.
Board games have taught me how to manipulate.
people.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right, Smithers.
Excellent. So yeah, that's mine.
The game that springs to mind when you were talking about that was King's Dilemma.
Yeah, that's another great example.
I loved playing that. It's so good. We haven't played it for ages, and I don't know if it'll ever come to the table again. But
It's been over a year.
oh, really?
Yeah, I looked at the
I'm
last
sad
play.
about that. It's such a good game.
It's been over a year, and you just need to put it back in.
Yeah. So you're playing as a house, a faction, a whatever, with your own sort of vague aim, and cards come out, and basically whoever is the king at the time, you have to convince them to do one thing or the other thing, whichever it is that benefits you. And there is
You'll say
constant,
yay or nay,
yeah, there's a constant kind of like, well, if you back me up with this one, I'll back you up when you need it. And yeah, there is quite a lot of negotiation and kind of making very tenuous alliances, sort of, just enough so that everyone's sort of a bit appeased. Yeah, wasn't very good at that.
Yeah, it is. I know I'm known for doing this in games though, like Game of Thrones or Twilight Imperium. Is like if people are getting confrontational, It's like, how do I throw them off the scent? How do I misdirect them into someone else? I'll kind of put up these suggestions and things into the game because I know it stirs the pot. But it also means that
Always call them out on it as well.
Yeah, you do.
JP starting the pot again.
yeah, it's like if I can just like misdirect someone over there, then. Which is probably a little bit of manipulation.
Yeah, I think that sounds more manipulation than negotiation.
And then the last TI game where you went, no, I'm going to attack everyone. And I was like, JP, we need to buckle down, get Jay, because he is too big for his boots. And you're like, no. And then JP gets wiped off the board by Jay.
It wasn't a great game.
That's when the power went to your head, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Davey, would you like to talk about your skill?
So I've got ADHD. So my time management is awful. And I found actually board games, and this is really ironic.
You're not the worst, though.
Sorry?
You're not the worst.
I'm not the worst. But this is ironic because I was late today.
It was, yeah.
But it was down to work and it was nothing I could do about it. So it was one of those. But my time management has been a lot better since board games, and I think that is because it comes down to the planning aspect of board games. And you used to play a lot of chess, and you do have to plan your turns, but you can't ever plan too much. Whereas board games, I find you can do a sequence, or you've got kind of a lot more interaction with how your plans are going to work out, and you've got more agency over that. And I think that's definitely helped me with time management of being, so I need to do this and then this and this. Whereas before it was just like random chaos. I'd be like, I'll be doing that and that. And then I'd be like, shit.
That's my style.
Shit, I'm like 20 minutes late. And then be like, I need to go. And then it's just panic. Whereas now I've started actually planning stuff a lot more and I'm a lot more organised. And I think the only thing that's changed, might be age as well, who knows, but board games have been more integral in my life, so I think that has definitely helped because there are a lot of aspects in there about planning, management, efficiency. And that kind of all comes down to the same thing. It does help you with the management side. I've just been rambling now.
No. I genuinely think that's a really good point in there. Yeah. There is certain skills that you learn from a board game that teaches you to order your thoughts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because you have to.
Because you have to. And I know because I can be a bit prone to it, as can some others in our group, but AP, so analysis paralysis, is quite often when something changes at the last minute and it throws off that thought process you had. Either you just weren't paying attention, you were looking at your phone, and suddenly you've gone, "What? Oh, it's my turn." But for the most part, it's that ordering of your mind and your thought process. But knowing that if something comes up, you have to change tact, and that's the same in life, right? You can plan your day to the nth degree, but if the bus runs late or whatever, you kind of it throws you off your time management off slightly. But it's about how you recoup that, isn't it?
And there's always going to be a spanner, isn't
there?
Yeah. There's always going to be a spanner, so it's just how you then deal with that.
Yeah.
So maybe it's taught you dealing with spanners. I don't mean that in the literal sense. I mean,
are you calling all of you a bunch of spanners?
No. I mean, like, you thought you had the day organised, and something came along. Adrian's dead. You thought you had your day organised, something came along, but now you're far more accustomed to having to go, got to change this now.
Yeah.
Rather than just, like you said, being chaotic or whatever.
Any games that come to mind that have helped you particularly, or
probably any Mind Clash game?
Any
ones that you have to plan about 17 turns ahead. Yeah.
And
or
that's then led me into the Absurdiverse and all the rest really. It seems to quiet my mind of this heavy, real planning. My mind, I just go into focus, forget that anyone else is there, what they're saying.
So my second skill, I'm trying to find a way to name it. Essentially, it's rule books and process manuals and all that kind of stuff. So again, previous job, I used to write what's called operating procedures. So
you lucky devil.
Yeah, I know. Right? So standard operating procedures or something like that. And rule books sometimes follow this language and sometimes they tell a story. And I think rule books tread a very careful line between telling you, right, this is the first thing you do, this is the second thing. When you look at a setup guide, it's a process manual, essentially. It's telling you in order exactly what to do and how to do it. What it then does is lays out normally a rulebook will lay out a framework, and some people understand those frameworks. They read them really simply. I think JP's nodding. I think because he understands that some people read process manuals and process guides and these frameworks and pick up how to do that much clearer and quicker than other people do. And I think if you're going into a role or a job that requires that understanding of process and that understanding of how to read a process guide and maybe not know when to take it word for word and when to understand it's just a guide, it's just like a rules sort of set, and how to lay that out is a really odd but important part of board games.
Yep.
Because whether you're reading a rule book or writing a rule book, you have to understand who your audience is, who you are, who you're aiming at, how much information you need to give them at the front, in the middle, at the back of the rule book. And all of those things are a really niche skill that I think a lot of people, whether it's reading or writing the rule books, I think a lot of people don't have them naturally. And when I hear people say, and look at you now, Becky, I don't like reading rule books, I think it's because there's that skill set that you just never... You might just find it boring, but I think it's that skill set of being able to read something and understand what's probably coming next because of the way that a rulebook is written. And from a writing perspective, there's nothing worse than a badly done pop-out box where it's put core rules into a pop-out box or something like that. And I think that's because someone doesn't fundamentally understand the language of how to write process guides and how to effectively write a manual. And so I don't know really how to sort of put it any clearer than I don't know how to word it differently.
It makes sense what you're saying.
Information,
yeah, and I think I'm in the middle because I find it when it's easy, I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
When it's well written, and that makes it easy. And then when it's really poorly written, I will like if it's just information overload or the rules are scattered all over the place and I just can't seem to comprehend it. Gaia Project's rule books is an example of that.
Gaia.
Then it makes it really difficult.
Yeah.
So I do, and I guess then that can transpire over to the real world in the sense that it's how easy you can pick up that information or how you put forward that information.
Yeah, absolutely.
So is your skill more about the consumption of the information or the way you educate others? So is it the way you kind of take it in?
it was more around the consumption.
Yeah,
I think again there was for me I think writing is part of that, is understanding how someone will consume, someone in the know. So you look at a game like King of Tokyo or something like that, you're probably preaching to or teaching people who are not very understanding of board games. They haven't built up that language and all that kind of stuff. Whereas if you look at a Twilight Struggle or a even like a Too Many Bones or any Lacerda, they've probably already got a little bit of understanding of language, but that doesn't mean that you don't have to be smart about the way you give them information. And the same as when someone's reading it, they'll know that you've front-loaded. If they're used to board games, they'll know that you've front-loaded certain information because of how important it is to the understanding the next steps.
Yes.
Whereas I think some people would skip over a large front load of information, not understanding the importance of it.
I guess you've got something really difficult, but you make that guide easily digestible, then you can put forward that difficult thing in a sense that's a lot easier for people to grasp.
Yep.
And so there's kind of a lot of power there in that sense. And definitely rule books help or they kind of make or break some board games.
It's a skill. It's a massive skill to take a complex game and be able to put it in a way that you can read and go, yeah, got it.
And I'd like that.
Really quick.
100%.
Yeah.
Like if you can do that, kudos.
Yeah.
Moving on to our fourth turn, which is Would You Rather. So we've talked about skills, and I think it's fair to say now we've all proved that we've got the skills to pay the bills.
Hopefully.
So
I definitely haven't. I'm definitely not paying my gas bill with these skills.
You can bling it up.
Yeah. Put glitter on the bill.
I'll deal with it with confrontation or negotiation.
Oi.
Yeah.
Through a very tenuous link, I am now going to link that to a Would You Rather, which is board games can no longer be purchased with normal currency.
Oh, yeah.
You have a choice of how you pay for board games.
I like this already.
which is you either have to have a 1 in, 1 out, so you always must get rid of a game in order to purchase the
I'm
next
feeling
one.
ill already. Oh, don't.
So someone will say, oh, we want 40 quid's worth of similar games or whatever, and you have to hand those game over to buy it. So your board game collection is never really going to get bigger or smaller, in value at least.
It's an equilibrium that
God.
you're maintaining. Okay, yeah, got it.
Or everyone is given a defined amount of board game time, and they have to spend a certain amount of their board game time in order to buy another game. So if you've seen the terrible Justin Timberlake film in time,
yeah.
we're thinking
It's a great concept. Bad film.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, so I don't really.
So essentially, we'll say that for every year you have 1,000 hours worth of board game time. That's probably too much for you. I haven't done the maths. And someone will say to you, okay, the Ark Nova expansion is 30 hours worth of board gaming, and you have to give up that amount of time in your year in order to buy that game.
Oh.
Which one of these new ways of buying board
How
games
much
are you gonna
time will
take?
you get? That's going to be a big factor. How much time do you get?
It's not worth the maths
about,
out.
about what,
Well,
50 hours a year?
I guess it depends
In
what.
principle, though,
Yeah.
let's talk about the principle.
Stick with
of
the
it.
same amount of hours you play board games with now. You have to barter some of that to get a new game.
Yeah, so in order to...
1 in, 1 out. I'll do it 1 in, 1 out. It's easy. Easy, because then basically I can choose when this one comes in and one goes out, yeah? Yeah, exactly. So I can play it and then new board game. That's something shiny. Go on my shelf.
Yeah,
sit in
but
this,
then you've got to
sit in this
learn another
wrapper
new
for.
game.
Oh, I love it. Love it. Easy.
Can you go back
easy.
to a game you've already had?
Yeah, of course.
Just 1 in, 1 out. Easy.
Okay. Makes me upset to say 1 in, 1 out, but if you can go back to games that you've had before and like swap shop, so like, you know, because you find that, don't you, in our group generally there's like flavours of the month, isn't there?
Yeah.
So maybe if you could always like cycle back to them.
You found a loophole there. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
no loopholes.
Well, that's
You're not allowed to go back
You
to
said
the
I
old
could
game.
go back. You said I could go back.
And also, we're going
Alright.
to edit this, so it's going to
Okay, well,
say,
if I can't-
I'm now going to do 1 in, 1 out. That's what we're going to edit this to
well-
say. So then Curly's going to be like, oh, really?
Well, if you can't cycle back, that just makes me sad.
So you're going to give up board gaming time in order to buy another board game. So now you get to play your board games less.
No, it's got to be 1 in, 1 out, isn't it? Oh, but what if I just finally get good at something and then?
Off it goes.
You've got to get rid of something
You don't-
else.
You don't have to get rid of that one. If you've just
Get
got
rid
good
of
at one.
anything else.
Well, that's true.
It's
I've got
better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at
I've
all.
got loads of games that I don't play, so
There
I
you
could
go.
sack them off straight off and just get some.
Yeah, there you go.
I'll go with that.
For
All right,
me.
1 in, 1 out.
so
1 in, 1 out. that
Curly
is what I'm
knows
saying.
now that you're
Yeah.
happy with the 1 in, 1 out policy.
Shit.
Curly.
That's what all of this was about, wasn't it? Let's get this on
Did
recording.
he give you this question? It's a setup, listeners. I've been set up.
You've been stitched up like a kipper. Yeah, 1 in, 1 out for me. No, it's what I do now, pretty much.
Yeah, it's what I do now
It-
pretty much as well. But these two I don't think do so much. So I was like,
1 in, 1 in.
1 in, 1 in.
I don't play my board games enough to like change them over.
So you can't jeopardise your time with them because you're not getting enough time with them.
No, I play other people's board games more than I play my
That's a
own.
good point.
Yeah.
As long as we all be really
No one wants to
careful.
play my board games because I
I
like
do. Keep telling you to put Gaia projects in.
Gaia Project that people play, but Barrage
I've
no
played
one really
Barrage.
liked. Me and you like,
Yeah.
but no one else does.
As long as we're careful with our 1 in, 1 out, we always make sure that somebody's got the 1 in that
You've
we
always
like.
got to check out which one's going in.
Suddenly everyone's got rid of Dune Imperium and we're like,
No, I'm
oh.
alright. I'm alright with
screwed.
that. It's fine, but me.
Fair enough. So there you go. There's our Would You Rather for
Cool.
this week.
Yeah.
This episode.
Oh, I feel sad that I said 1 in, 1 out.
Oh well, tough. You've done it.
And on to our penultimate turn where we talk about what we're looking forward to, what's coming up, what are we excited about.
Oh, I'm excited to play Earth. Really excited to play Earth tomorrow.
Yeah. Nice.
I'm excited about that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have liked to do that, but I'm in Little Italy, so
Oh, it's nice
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Not big Italy.
Not big Italy, no.
Just little
Little.
Italy.
I'm excited about we're building the office and our garden and doing our garden up, and so I have a little place to work, and also hopefully I'm gonna have a look for a gaming table, like a little hex gaming table in there as well. So that's what I'm excited about. There we go.
Cool.
With
Projects.
the balls rolling and yeah, exactly, and having a space out in the garden because at the moment that space doesn't get used, and there's like a soakaway in the corner where nothing will grow there because it's a soakaway and it's in the corner and it gets the most sun, but it's like this dank corner where nothing grows, and it's kind of like, yeah, we need to put some composite, nice decking on that, and put some nice furniture. Then it will look nice rather than looking like where the wild things go in the corner.
Or the insect's habitat.
Yeah, exactly.
No, Davey,
yeah.
don't put a
The
decking
bog.
here.
You can see me start sinking and going, Jabba! Really slowly, my hand reaching out.
Bog of eternal stench. But there we go. Now you talked about Earth.
Earth, yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's all good. When Adrian explained it many moons ago, it intrigued me, that game. It sounded very, very interesting. So I'm interested to get your feedback, because I can't play it tomorrow.
I'm already
unfortunately.
intending to make some cool little components. I've come up with the
It's
idea.
got you already, this, hasn't it?
Yeah. I've already come up with the idea of making like little soil components out of actual like stuff that looks like soil but encased in resin.
Actual soil.
Not just soil, but stuff that looks like soil.
The kind of stuff that you would buy for a model railway. They're really good for like looking natural.
You could
but
put them in
aren't
little
being-
dog bag, like little poo bags, and have that as your soil. There you go.
What was
That's
it,
quite
little
good.
resin tokens, so
Yeah.
it looks like a
Little
like
poops.
a chunk. No, like a chunk of soil, not a chunk.
Which
of
is going to
food.
look like.
It's tough, right, to
Yeah.
differentiate between poop swirl.
Yeah.
No,
I'm going to bring
I-
round my co-op bag and start ripping little bits off and then
Make
wrap
it a
them around
tiny
all the
bag.
soil.
no,
Yeah.
it's gonna. I mean, that my visions of how these tokens work might not actually work with the way they actually work in the game.
Yeah,
so
you
I
need
need
to play
to.
it
But I've
first
just got
and
this little idea of like, they could have a little.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
just-
hoping
it's
to
just a
play it
resource.
soon.
So whatever you want to do with it, you can.
But you need to stack them, don't you?
Soil.
Yeah.
No.
So okay. Or maybe I can
It's the there are growth
Yeah, the
counters,
tree
but
thing.
they're
okay.
already little wooden blocks that you
Okay.
stack on top of each
make. Oh, that's
other.
what I've seen pictures
The
of them.
other thing, I don't know if it comes in the retail edition because I played a Kickstarter edition of it, was instead of little green cubes, they gave you little green chits.
Sorry?
Cardboard
Oh, yeah,
chits
yeah.
to put on there, and I thought the first thing I would do
That
is
needs to be leaves.
buy green cubes
Yeah.
to replace it if
Yeah.
it doesn't come with it.
Yeah.
There was certain.
How did you find Earth? Did you enjoy it?
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Really liked it, didn't you?
Really
It looks
enjoyed
really
it.
good.
It's halfway between Terraforming Mars, sort of maybe Ares Expedition
Mm.
or something like that, and Wingspan.
See,
Okay.
it's got my name all over it.
Which-
Yeah, it's
I'm
you,
excited,
isn't it? This,
yeah.
Yeah, so I really enjoyed it. I'm still unsure if I want to buy it, but every now and again I'm like, cool, that's gonna go on
Well,
pre-order soon again.
There's definitely one in the game group, and we are hopefully getting our copy soon.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
there's plenty of copies around to play.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I can't play it, so I'm looking forward to when I can.
Yep, same.
JP.
Two things that I'm excited about. First thing is there's an announcement, and I can't remember where I saw it, but Martin Wallace has got involved with the Fighting Fantasy
Yeah.
books called Fighting Fantasy Adventures. And I've instantly just been transported back in time when I read Death Trap Dungeon and House of Hell. And I thought, I might just go and buy those. So I've bought them. And they're on the way. And I'm going to relive my youth and play through
You're going to need to go
those
into a
two.
bit more detail about what these are. 'Cause-
These are Choose Your Own Adventure.
Oh, choose your own. Right, yeah.
Books. So basically,
Yeah,
you'll read a
understand.
page,
Yeah,
you'll be
yeah.
like, you are the hero, and it will like, right, do you want to go through this door or that door? Go
Yeah.
to page 67 or page 83. You're dead. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
But House of Hell specifically, I can even picture it now. The dude on the that kind of greets you into the house, and he's really creepy looking. He's old. He's like wearing this big smoking jacket, and he terrified the shit out of me as a kid. And so I bought it for me and Josh to play.
Excellent. Terrify your
In the
small
dark.
child. Perfect.
But no, it's like an impulse thing.
Yeah,
I did
yeah,
not even expect to get it, and I thought, you know what, I had such a blast with these, and I think
Yeah.
my son would also love
I
this.
would be about the age your son is now
Yeah.
when I remember being in the school library, and it shows you how I think also tells you how important librarians were. I don't know, but I remember hanging out and like the librarian there going, I think you'll like this, and showed
You
me,
look like a nerd.
yeah, you look like a nerd. You're like, and literally that Death Trap Dungeon book.
It's a
I think I
masterpiece.
must have been through every single possibility and permutation of that dungeon.
Did you map it out as well?
No, of course I didn't.
He
I'm
did
not
in his
that bad,
mind.
but-
He did in his mind.
But
I did.
I
Yeah.
certainly was sort of, okay, if you go down this way again, and I remember this one, I'll take the left turn this time because the right turn didn't work
Yeah,
out, and all
get
that kind of
killed.
stuff. And great books.
Yeah, but then moving on to some of the Goosebump ones. That was my age. Goosebump did their own Choose Your Own Adventure.
Did they?
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah, they
remember
did.
those.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I was thinking, well, that's a weird connection to make. But if they make their own choose your own adventure,
they were
did,
inspired by all that. I'm
that's
sure.
it. Yeah.
The second thing I want to talk about, what I'm excited for, is the 24-hour board game marathon.
We're all super excited for this.
It's our next
gonna
event.
be amazing.
And like for me, it's my first one, and I'm doing the live stream
You're
as well.
you're hosting it basically, aren't you?
Well, the live stream.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm hosting the event, but I'm doing the live stream of it, and that's You're right, mate.
Yeah, just Becky again. You're hosting. You're like, no.
He's hosting it. He is hosting
The
it.
live stream. Yeah. So yeah, no, that's going to be really, really exciting. I can't wait, and that's my first time. And you guys went last year.
Yeah,
You
it
and
was
Curly
amazing.
And a few others.
Yeah, we did. We were there the whole time.
Adrian, you were there, weren't you?
Yeah, I was unfortunately very unwell and taking some crazy medication at the time. So,
Yes.
I was there for a handful of hours, of which I remember very little of it in hindsight.
Just buzzing, were you? Just buzzing around.
But yes, I remember. What I do remember is having a great time, and
You're actually still there.
I still remember, and like this is just Ian winning the raffle prize. So obviously we all bought raffle tickets, and Ian, some of them were educational games.
Yes.
And I remember Dan going, "Oh, it's math. So learn math or something like that." And Ian jokingly went, "Oh yes, that very well-known board game of math," and then got his name called out straight away.
I gave that to my friend for her children. She was very thankful of it. So somebody
Amazing.
benefited, even though Ian didn't want it.
There were so many good prizes on there.
It's an amazing
and bearing in
raffle.
mind, obviously, the cause that it's for, having some educational games and some kids games in there
It
was
makes
absolutely on point. But yeah, Ian mocking it and then immediately winning it was a highlight
It's
of
just
the...
that chef's kiss
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, if anyone who doesn't know, it's basically a charity event, and it's for Cots for Tots in Bristol. So it's just for an amazing cause. And like I say, it's a 24-hour board gaming challenge.
Who doesn't want to play board games 24 hours, right?
100%. 100%. So yeah, it's literally going to be running, like 9 a.m. to 9 a.m. Go. Keep awake, do what you can, and hopefully get some sleep at the end of it. Also while raising money. But we'll put all the details in the show notes so you can check it out. But if you fancy the challenge,
Absolutely. Yeah.
Come down.
Caffeine will be
Even
ingested in copious amounts, I think.
Even if you just want to pop along for a couple of hours,
yeah.
play a few games, support a good charity, whether you want that or whether you want to go for the full 24-hour challenge, it's all worthwhile.
There's no pressure, is there?
Come along, have fun.
And even if you can't actually be
Contribute.
there in person, you can watch the live stream, which will be hosted by
But me.
our lovely JP.
And we're going to be on it, aren't we?
Yeah.
We're going to have our own little
Yeah.
slot on the live stream. I
Yeah.
think we might do a live episode. Oh, God, this is going to send me into to shivers and doing a live episode, but it'll be fun. It'll be fun.
Hopefully we'll get you guys interacting as well.
Yeah. There's a continual chat thing, isn't there?
Yeah, there is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
there'll be a moderated chat throughout. I'll be on that as well, just keeping an eye on things. So yeah, can't wait.
It's
Bring
nice.
it on.
So if I go into the chat and swear,
Then I'll just say thank you.
cool.
What are you looking forward to, Adrian?
It is like Davey.
Yeah.
Back in my account again.
Yeah.
So I am hoping to get Dominion to the table. So
Nice.
one of the original card builders, deck builders, and I've played it way too many times, but I've pretty much only played the base and the first 3 expansions, which are Intrigue, Prosperity and Seaside, not in that order. I decided I was going to try something different and buy one of the additional expansions, so I've just bought Renaissance, actually a couple of months ago now, but hoping to get that to the table again soon. So this one adds some of the Seaside stuff, but it also adds like locations that you can purchase that give you little bonuses as part of your buy. So normally you can only buy cards as part of your buy. This gives you a location that you can buy and then you get a little bonus, and it also gives you some artifacts that sort of, if I buy a card that gives me the flag artifact that does something, then it comes to me, and then you can play a card as well. And so these artifacts move around the board, so it's not just about what you're playing, it's also about making sure you're buying and trashing cards that give you that artifact as and when you need to. So it's a really interesting wrinkle that I'm sure plenty of people who've played Dominion have come across before, but I'm really excited to try it. I'm hoping it's going to put a bit of a new lease into a game that I've really enjoyed, and I still enjoy, but perhaps I've got a bit too used to, and I've kind of understood what's in the game, and because I've only played
Do you
those
have all the
first 4.
expansions for it?
No, I've
No.
only, so I've had the base game. My old gaming group used to play Prosperity a lot, and I've got Intrigue and Seaside. Which
Yeah, I've never played any of the expansions, but I always really enjoyed the base game.
Yeah.
So it's one of these that I would like to play at the others, but none of our group kind of has it, do
Only
they?
have base.
Yeah, they've only got base. Yeah, but it's really good.
If someone's looking for a recommendation, Seaside for me is an absolute brilliant first buy. So it adds a duration power. So you play a card this turn, you stick it on this bit of cardboard, which essentially says it's a duration card, and then normally it either gives other people like a downside for their turn, or it gives you a bonus when it gets back round to you, but then it goes in your discard pile, so you're not getting it through your deck as often because it's staying out. And so I would always recommend that, and Renaissance came with more of that, which was one of the reasons why I picked it, was because I like that and I wanted to try some more stuff. So yeah, that's what I'm excited for. I'm hoping it's gonna give me something new for a game I've played a lot of.
Yeah, definitely.
Sounds awesome. I'm looking forward to playing a bit more of it, and you played it once as well, so
Never played it.
you might like it.
Never played
You
it.
can play like 4 or 5 rounds in an evening.
Yeah.
It's a real quick game to get through once you've understood the basics of it.
It's the deck builder.
Maybe I should read the rule book and maybe I'll learn it. I'll
Well,
try it
I'm sure we can get a game in at some point. I've taught it plenty of times.
I'll sack the rule book off then.
Yeah.
I'm just still not any good
Just
at that.
teach me. Just
Yeah,
teach me.
yeah.
Teach it.
Cool.
So we're now on to our final turn. So with that, we're done. We're about to wrap up. Count final points. Congratulate Becky on her win,
Yay!
as that's her new
Second
trend.
win.
Yeah.
Woohoo! And I'm not gonna crow about it because that was something that we brought up. So
There we go.
good game, everyone.
Yeah.
I think we all had really good turns. Yeah.
Thank you everyone for listening. If you've enjoyed the show, please like, subscribe and review on your podcast player of choice. If you think someone else would enjoy this podcast, please feel free to mention it to them. Give them a recommendation. Yeah, see if they like it too. Maybe they might fall in love with our little podcast.
Me.
Definitely not you.
I know. I'm a hard sell.
If you want to get in contact with the show, we are on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Board Game Geek, or via email. All of the details will be in the show notes, so please look there if you'd like to get in contact with us. We love when you interact with us on any of those things, and we like just having a conversation with you guys about what we've been doing and what we've mentioned on our podcasts.
Yeah, and any of their life lessons maybe that they've learnt from board games.
Yeah, we'll be back again in 2 weeks' time. So until then, whose turn is it anyway?
Don't know. Yours?